Order. So we're starting with our roll call this evening. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
John Barry, William Diedzik, Tom Lombardi,
Here.
Dawn Maselli,
Present.
Kelly Morrissey,
Here.
Christopher Poulos,
Here.
Michael Riccio, Victoria Triano,
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here, and just for the record, John Barry apologizes. He wishes he could be here, but they are in session in Hartford, so he's unable to attend.
Yes, and Bill is also working, he's caught up in Vermont, working on a case, and he said he was going to try to make it, but he didn't think he could.
So we're too short tonight, but both for good reasons. They're at work, and they wish they could be here with us. So if you could just note that. And the prayer, it looks like Vice Chair Maselli has the prayer.
Dear Lord, may you continue to bless and keep Southington and her people. May you direct and lead this council in all her endeavors as we seek to do what is right and just for all people. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And Mark Pruitt from the Y is here. If you can lead us in the pledge, please. Thank you very much. Moving on, we're looking for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are passed. Councilperson Communications, the floor is open. Mr. Riccio.
I'd like to thank the town clerk for pointing out to me tonight that there's chocolate in the candy dish.
Oh, there's no chocolate.
Oh, there was chocolate in the candy dish. It's all gone.
And you know she's now Mrs. Larson.
Right.
Yes.
That's how she was announced yesterday.
Oh, Mrs. Larson, yeah. Speaking of, I'm sorry.
I do have something serious.
Sure, go ahead.
The farm heritage vote has been tabled. Just want to know when we're acting on it because I did do some of my research. I'm almost all the way there, so.
Okay, I could, we haven't had a meeting, but I do have, I can share with council members information that was shared with us. Actually, you have an extra Farm Heritage Committee member here tonight, Mr. Pooler. I can share this with all of you. In addition to that, we also received an email. I don't think it had anything to do with this, except maybe through some coverage in the press. It was sent to the town manager, someone interested in doing something at the Grosky Farm. So we didn't have a quorum at our last meeting, so we had to cancel, which was last week. But we're going to try to bring him in. But I'll share with you all, this is the information that was shared with the committee from Jim Grappone, Keith Hayden, and Jeff Pooler. They documented their concerns as well as included some visuals for those of you that haven't seen it yet. So I can share this with all of you. And again, we haven't met yet, but of course it would go back to the Farm Heritage Committee. And I, again, extend the invitation for you to come when we're able to have our next meeting. So let me pass these out. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. 2, 3. Mark, you already have them. Okay. Here's the next one for the clerk. Okay. So again, this is what the committee and basically the recommendation went on. And this is from staff members that did a thorough look at that barn. But again, please consider coming to our next meeting. Any other council member communications?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention yesterday, the parade was wonderful. I've never seen more of our citizens out. It was really wonderful. Kudos to our American Legion, and certainly we want to just pay homage to every vet, every family that's endured a loss of someone serving in the armed forces. But it was a wonderful time, and when it happened, it was quite moving to me to see Dawn, see your mom there, as they played Anchors Away, right?
Air Force.
No.
Oh, Air Force. Oh, don't tell her I messed up. Air Force, yeah. It was wonderful as she sang and saluted, and just a wonderful day.
Great. And just to jump off of that, one of the challenges that I made yesterday is, although we celebrate Memorial Day, I'd encourage our residents, and I do share that I think the council and the town leads by example in that we don't just honor our veterans on a certain day. Through the work of our Veterans Committee, through the town of Southington, our Board of Education has their own Veterans Committee. Their work is year-round. I mentioned some recruitment efforts that the Veterans Committee takes part in. For example, attending the Apple Harvest Festival and more of an outreach effort. Honoring veterans here throughout the year at council meetings, and our Wall of Honor in Town Hall, where we can see all our current residents that are serving. We really try to not just honor them on that day,
That's right.
but live through the year by that honor, and I'd encourage our residents to do the same. So, again, we're trying to set a positive example in doing that.
Then one more thing, I just want to piggyback, because I noticed today that John DeMello, who heads our Veterans Committee along with Rachel Waukee, noted that there had been no mention yesterday of our Gold Star families in town. Is it Rose Burgess? I forget her first name.
I think it is, Rose.
They are a Gold Star family because her son did not come home from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure our public was aware of that because it wasn't mentioned yesterday, so. And they're delightful people, Rose and her sister.
Okay, great.
Attend a lot of events in the senior center and whatnot.
Okay, Mr. Lombardi?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I did leave the information packets with all of us. That's what the document was I left at our desks. Yeah, that I promised at the last meeting, so.
Okay.
If
Thank you.
if the chairman, if you can give it to Councilman Barry.
Sure.
And I'll give a copy to Councilman Dezak.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Remind me, what was this again, so I can make some notes?
What was, that was, I went back 3 years and looked at all the cash capital items in the budgets, and I just got an update from the finance director and town manager. I think worked together on it and got back to me on a status of the projects, whether they've been completed, whether they're in progress. That's 3 years of information. And then the column to the right is notes provided by the finance director.
We do these occasionally for the Board of Finance. In their minutes, you'll see them occasionally. We're doing the same thing, I believe, at their June meeting, so you can check their minutes. We do them quarterly, not religiously, but we do them quarterly, so every once in a while, you'll see us update these into the Board of Finance minutes.
Great. Thank you. Any other councilman communication? I just have a couple. Just like to, again, congratulate Curtis Robinson, who on May 15th received the gold medal. I know several council members were there, including Councilwoman Triano and Councilwoman Maselli. So just congratulations to him. It was humbling to hear him speak and to see in writing and hear all that he's done for this town. So we're very lucky to have him here. So I'd just like to congratulate Mr. Robinson again and thank him for everything he does for the town. Two other quick things just to bring closure to the budget process. At our last meeting, based on the council actions, it was recommended that it would be a 0.16 mill rate increase. If you remember at the beginning of that evening, it was a 0.39 mill rate increase. So after our work, it was a 0.16 mill rate increase. Based on that, the Board of Finance did increase 0.16 mills. So the new mill rate is 30.64, and that is 19.08 for education and 11.56 for the town of Southington. So that just brings closure to the budget process as the Board of Finance enacted that at their last meeting. And finally, I'm proud to announce we had talked a little bit about the budget, especially Mr. Lombardi. This goes along with what you were saying too. I'm happy to announce with the town manager who shared with me that basically all the capital items that we had requested that were going to be cash funded in the current budget, 18-19, versus the 19-20 budget that was future budget, all of it was able to be funded due to an additional income from interest income. So that was used for budget reallocation funds, everything with the exception of $150,000 in IT costs. So that is 18-19 and 19-20. All of those capital requests were funded fully except for that $150,000 in IT, which the manager explained that working with our IT director, they didn't feel that it was necessary for this year. Did you want to elaborate on that?
No, that was my entire report on the Board of Finance minutes, Mr. Chairman, so I'll be missing that section when we get to my report. But no,
Well, I
yes, that's
just saved-
exactly right.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know you were going to report that, sorry.
But that was great news, by the way, so.
Okay.
And I,
thank you for sharing that.
obviously, like everything else, it's, Amelia Portolino is our, she's my go-to person. We sat down and we worked with the treasurer, and I thank the Board of Finance who worked very closely with us to do that. And of course, I thank Mr. Baker, who was very candid with me and said that, you can miss me this year, but please don't miss me next year, so.
Okay. Great. Well, that's great news, so thank you very much for that update, Mr. Shota. Okay, any other councilman communications? I think we're ready to move on. So report of special committees, sewer committee. Mr. Zoni, you're up.
Short.
Good evening, folks. I'm going to put this down so I can move this closer. The sewer committee met on May 9th, and we have one item that we took action on, a recommendation that we move forward with the removal of Blatchley Pump Station and proceed with the gravity feed. As you know, there's been some issues surrounding the open space parcel of the Curtis property that came to our attention after our first meeting on this subject. And since then, because of the concerns of the council, we had some legal work done with the previous owner, and as a result of that, we now have a modified agreement that basically says, and it's in your packet, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'll just give you some of the highlights of it. The modification agreement shall not constitute in any way or be deemed a violation of the restrictions of the original warranty deed. As part of the modification agreement, the town of Southington agrees to clear the disturbed area of all construction debris, grade the disturbed area to blend into the surrounding land along the construction path, rake and seed the disturbed area with wildflower and grass seed. The town shall create a wood chip path approximately 3 feet wide along the entire length of the new sewer line. The town shall establish a public access to the wood chip path via a gravel parking lot located on Blatchley Avenue to accommodate 2 to 5 cars, no more than 5. And within 2 years upon the completion of, the town shall plant 5,000 various varieties of daffodils and name the path in honor of Edgar F. Curtis. Additional planting will include 8 high bush blueberry bushes placed along the created or existing trails. The town will be required to maintain the trail for public use. The town shall create and record a map related to these improvements, and it shall be titled Proposed Gravity Sewer Through Town Open Space 881 South End Road. So if you approve this tonight, the bidding will go out in late 2019, which is the quickest we'll be able to go out for construction. From what I understand, the town is going to divide the bid up into 2 parts, one for the excavation portion, that's the laying of the pipe, and one for the demolition and of the existing pump station, because that requires some different qualifications. The construction will begin in 2020, in the spring, and should be completed by the fall of 2020. This pump station is very old. It recently had a failure that caused us a little consternation. It was able to be repaired, but it's working on chewing gum now and duct tape, I guess. So it's time for us to really get this thing done. You have any questions?
Just one, in that, thank you for all your work with the sewer committee, and this was important to us as we heard at the council. We said it would come right back to the council, so the council will ultimately vote on it. It is in the agenda tonight. However, the next report, which was open space, was the second partnership with this agreement, and unfortunately there was some scheduling conflicts, so they were not able to meet. So I'm wondering if I would like to table this until the open space takes action at their next meeting. So I just want to make sure that's not going to hold up the sewer committee, because I know how important the project is.
Well, I mean, it's up to you folks. You are the sewer authority, so if you want to table it, that's totally within your purview. But I don't see any reason why the Open Space Committee would not accept this. A lot of work went into this. Open Space Chairman and I have walked this property several times with the owner. I think
And
everybody's happy.
I
now.
completely agree with that, but I also think it's important to get the Open Space Committee's voice in the issue as well, just because, again, obviously you did a lot of work with this through the sewer committee, but I think it's important to have the open space heard as well.
That's all up to you.
I know Mr. Ricchio wanted to go, but
About this, or?
Yeah, just,
Okay, go ahead.
where did the 5,000 daffodils come from?
It was suggested by the previous owner as part of this modification agreement.
The thing that's important, hold on one second, the thing that's important though, Mr. Akil, is that money is coming from the sewer fund, so it's not, it's basically money that is part of the sewer fund anyway. It's not that the council would have an additional expense, so it's coming from money. So
If I may, Mr. Chairman, that
Something special to Mr.
almost
Curtis.
everything that David had said as part of the agreement. First, I want to thank Paul Bedard for working very closely with the property owners in my office on this and Dave's committee. Almost all that stuff was going to be planned already, the parking lot, the path, et cetera, and we did not have an objection. The number went up and down a little bit, but we'd have no
I don't
objection.
care, I was just curious. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay. Yeah,
Well,
we had no objection.
well, then let me speak to that.
Go ahead.
So apparently that site used to, there was a reason that they wanted the flowers, because the site used to
Under-
be,
for-
they had
Edgar's.
tulips growing there.
Yeah,
See, now I wish I had my notes, because there's an awesome story that goes along with it. So it meant a lot for Mr. Curtis to have the flowers, and they also want to erect a little plaque. There was really nothing there to delineate that open space parcel, and that it was, the Curtis property from back from, the 1700s and this, that, and the other thing. But they used to do something on the site with flowers, I believe it was.
There should be a metal plaque somewhere. Every parcel's supposed to have a plaque.
This will be, yeah,
This
this
will
will be
be
a
more
separate, this will be a
prominent.
separate plaque for Ed, I believe his name is Edgar, that we're going to have a memorial path with the.
I think it's a good idea.
flowers to Edgar, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention too, Dave, I agree, I know what you're saying, that yes, you and I have walked that property so many times. How many ticks did we, did you have to pull off yourself? That's how many times we were out with Mr. Curtis and both of his sons. But still, I do feel that the right thing to do is to allow the Open Space Committee to see the final details, even though they've pretty much been apprised of it as well. We were supposed to have met last Thursday, scheduling snafu. We are now meeting this Thursday. So we will be discussing it at that time. And I agree with regard to the pathway. We needed something there. We didn't have anything on this particular open space parcel. So really, things that started off as a negative have really turned out to be a positive with regard to this particular parcel, which is terrific. And Mark, I believe you continue to look at other deeds from our open space parcels to ensure that we are sort of living up to whatever recommendations and approvals we had given the families when we purchased
And to
some of our
help Mr.
parcels.
Zoney here, I don't believe that the 2 weeks are going to make that big of a difference, Dave, so
Not a
that's fine.
problem for me.
Okay.
The only thing I'd like to add too, one of the other things, a major thing, we were all concerned, and I know you folks were concerned about the amount of deforestation that would take place to put in this trail. From the original plan to where we are now, we actually moved the sewer line to accommodate the trees that were there to get the minimum amount of deforestation necessary to put in the sewer line. So that was a big accomplishment, and Mr. Curtis was very happy that we were able to do that.
Yeah, it really does show that you have to go out and you really have to look at what these proposals are. Because when you get out there in person, you really can't see, well, that, if you just move it over a little bit, that, 100-year-old tree doesn't need to come down, or whatever it may be. It really has been a fascinating process.
I just want to say I'm very happy that we're doing this, and it encourages folks to know that they're respected in their gift to us. And so I'm very pleased with this. I think the senior Mr. Curtis would be very happy to hear all of this. And I'm glad, Mark, we're going back over and looking at some of the old contracts that we have with folks who have given us property, and that is an encouragement for others.
I agree, this is a unique experience, and I think it ended up being a win-win, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
it's great.
Thank you to all your staff, Mark.
You're welcome. On behalf of
Everybody's
my staff.
happy. Any more questions?
I think we're set.
Thank you.
Happy report from Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, as you just heard, the Open Space Committee did not meet, so I don't know if,
Could I just touch base on it then?
With the
Because-
train
Sure.
depot
Yeah, I
is
just want
open,
to, our town historian would never forgive me if I didn't inform you that the train depot has opened on Saturday. It will be open throughout the summer, and we'll close again the weekend after Labor Day. It's open from 9 to 4 every Saturday and Sunday. If you're lucky, one of Mr. Wooding's people will be there and give you a personal tour of it, but it will be open during that period of time.
Great, thank you. All right, so moving on to town manager's report and communications. So we have a couple bond ordinances we're introducing tonight. First, we'll start with the roads.
Mr. Chairman, let me familiarize yourself with the procedure. As with any bond ordinance, and these are a little bit different because one's going to require a referendum and one does not, but all bond ordinances start out the same way. You send it to the Board of Finance, and you send it to the Planning and Zoning, and the town attorney will handle the 824 on that. The public hearing will be at the Board of Finance level, and then it comes back to you for a public hearing. If you choose to move forward with the first one, that requires a simple majority vote at your second meeting in June. The other one, you move forward, it would require a simple majority vote to send it to the voters for November. If you have any questions on specifically what the 900,000 is, you've all seen the road projects that we have for this year, 2019. That's part of the $2.2 million that we plan on spending for the roads. So this is part of the project you approved through the capital plan at your last meeting. Now this is how we're going to fund a portion of it. I'll be happy to answer any questions. While I'm doing that, I'm going to put the screen down for the next one.
Mr. Lombardi?
I'll wait for the town manager.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question to the town manager, if he could explain to the council on, as we discussed, you know, I'm okay with voting on the municipal center, putting it forward for bond ordinance. However, I am more in support, assuming that the financial conditions at the time are similar to as they are now, of a cash purchase. And I just want you to explain to the council that tonight's vote doesn't necessarily mean that we support bonding or cash. We're just
Could I
supporting.
just ask, is there any other questions on the 900,000? And I'll go right to this question.
Sorry.
Okay. As with the municipal center, I think I have not made it. Certainly, I've not kept a secret to anybody what I think we should do with the municipal center. But obviously, it's a decision that the Board of Finance and the Town Council makes, and that's I think we have a perfect opportunity to use our undated fund balance for that. But it's in front of you as an option. If you read it, it says you can use bonding, you can use the undated fund balance, or a combination of both. Well, your vote tonight is to send it to the Board of Finance, which is your fiscal authority, who's going to give you their recommendation. Not that you have to listen to the recommendation, but they're going to have their public hearing, and they're going to recommend that back to you. One of those three things, well, four things. Don't buy it,
Right.
or use bonding, use undated fund balance, or a combination. There's really four options that they have.
Thank you.
Michael?
What is our lease option if the voters say no?
If the voters say no, we just continue to lease it. We can lease it for another 10 years after that, and then we renegotiate.
Thank you.
And what do we pay per year to lease?
So it's just a little over $400,000, I
Right.
believe.
Almost half a
200,000 each, yeah. And if I could ask our superintendent of highway parks to help me out with this?
So as we're doing that again, I want to stress, and I know the manager has said this repeatedly, and I've alluded to it in the past too, but this is a perfect example of a way to use our undesignated fund balance for a one-time purchase, whereas we can lower the ongoing operational costs on both the Board of Education and the general government budget, and it really is a great benefit to our residents. So
Just to break it down to financial perspectives, because I would be in favor of it. On the commercial side of things, that type of a rent payment would command a value on a building like this at like an 8 cap of almost $5 million. So from that perspective, buying the building is a bargain. It's like a $2 million bargain for the taxpayers.
With your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the council, I'd like to thank, first of all, Rick Campbell of the high school, who helped put us together what I feel is a very nice video. The first person is obviously looks the best in the video, but after that, it goes from there. So this will hopefully explain to you, the Board of Finance, the Board of Education, and the Planning and Zoning Commission why we feel it's necessary to buy this structure. Madam Superintendent.
did you bring popcorn for us, Mark?
No.
playing on the laptop, but it's not.
Oh, here we go again.
Shocker.
Unplug it last
Plug it and plug it back in.
Yeah, I think that's what I did last time.
Unplug the laptop from the on the other side, yeah.
I'll just report, this is the second video that Mr. Shota has been in the last couple of years, because he was also in the open space video.
It's his sneakers that makes everybody want him in the videos.
I thought you were going to say it's the second time the computer hasn't worked, because that's true, too.
Well, that's in 2 weeks, yeah, or
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Hopefully get the voters to support us. Screen's warmed up, so it is.
No, every 6, he said.
I think last week we closed out, Mark, and then reopened it, and it worked. If you close everything,
Try it again.
I'll show you something.
I hear sound.
Wondering if we need to restore the money to the
The town of Southington has a great opportunity.
technology budget.
To it. We are about to enter our
Just
eighth
saying.
year of the lease.
Just saying.
Yeah, but then you want your-
you could get a lot of videos for that money.
Okay, go ahead. I was supposed to be a star, but I guess it's over.
Oh, boy.
The town of Southington has a great opportunity available to it. We are about to enter our 8th year of the lease.
Refresh.
John
And why don't we-
Municipal Center. Part of our lease that we have with the building allows us to purchase the building.
And that, if you shut down the computer and restart it, that seemed to work last week. Mr. Show, did you want to give your other 3 items to report while the computer's shutting down?
Sorry, Mr. Fuller's I'll turn the light back on for you. Okay, the next item, kind of my thunder's already been taken from me, but the Board of Finance, they made 2, obviously, major issues. We talked about the mill rate, and we also talked about the capital plan that we're paying for cash, so if there's any questions on that, I have to answer it. And before I bring Mr. Pooler up, with your indulgence, I'll go to personal property, Tops Market. We all are very aware of the tragedy that took place at Tops Market on March 3rd of this year. As you well know, that the building no longer is there. Under my authority, since the building is no longer there, I was able to take the structure off the real estate rolls. Obviously, the land itself continues to get taxed, but only this board can relieve the responsibility of the personal property. So therefore, there is no personal property there. Under the statute, you have 2 options. You can relieve the corporation of the full amount of the personal property, which is $3,462, or prorate it, which would be $1,451, a difference of $2,011. Staff would have no objection to releasing the entire amount.
Mr. Riccio?
I've personally been involved. I was trying to think, it was 2 or 3, just various charities. No need to name them in town. And in my recollection, Tops donated that amount just to those 3 charities. And I'm gonna guess if we went down the line in here, we'd all hit charities. We wouldn't duplicate each other that Tops has contributed to. So, for my opinion, for our community to support them in their efforts to rebuild and open up to serve the community again in all the ways that they do, not just by providing groceries, is not unreasonable.
I completely agree, and I look forward to taking action on it. And I, too, fully support the full amount we can offer them for assistance. So I look forward to, that is on for action tonight. We'll be looking to vote on that later in the agenda. So thank you for that. I couldn't have said it better, Mr. Riccio.
Thank you.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, well, not lastly, hopefully we can get the other thing going, but I'd like to, I believe we've already congratulated him in public, but let me do it again. The not-so-new director of the YMCA, Mark Pooler, he's going to come up and talk to you about the Neighborhood Assistance Grant.
Welcome, Mr. Pooler.
But he is a new resident on Sloper Lake, or Sloper Pond, aren't you,
Yes,
Mark?
as of
I saw
2 days
that.
ago, I am
Yes.
residing at 1000 East Street in Southington.
Congratulations.
So, very honored and privileged to have that as our home address there. So I am here talking on behalf of the Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, and that is a grant opportunity that the YMCA and the town can partner with to help us with the Save Sloper Pond project. I'll try and give you a very short Cliff Note version of the 5+ years that we've been working on this project. It's a timely project. The pond is following its natural life course. Ponds go from ponds to swamps to meadows, and it's just aging. And we're at the point where the pond has been filled in with silt and sediment, and for various reasons, it needs to be dredged, and it needs to have some assistance from the YMCA, the community members, and really anyone at large who's benefited from that pond. It's a huge community resource. This is not just a YMCA resource. That pond is available for 3,000 plus kids in Southington on a daily basis over the summer. 10,000 plus guests of various different activities throughout the year. Environmental education, team building programs, school field trips, and these are not Y members. These are our kids in this community. The pond is the centerpiece to that property. It's a 19-acre pond centered in the 143-acre piece of property that is also adjacent to a beautiful piece of open space that we help maintain, the fish family preservation. And we were kind enough to be the recipients of a great gift in 1949 from Cornelius Sloper Neal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful piece of property, and it's our responsibility to make sure it's there for decades and generations to come. So we have fortunately been given a wonderful opportunity from the state, a $3 million gift from the state, and we went out to bid with the RFP coming back from $6 to $11 million to get the project completed. So with the help of Cole and Associates and Steve Judas, we have reframed the project a little bit, and now we're phasing it down a little bit to have multiple phases that we can do over time. But the project needs to go forward. The pond needs our attention, needs our help. So we know we need to probably raise about another $1 million. So this Neighborhood Assistance Act would go toward that $1 million fundraising effort on top of the $3 million that we received from the state.
Mr. Chair?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm going to just start off the conversation by saying that obviously we understand the importance of dredging for the health of that pond, because of course that's what happened to our little pond, I mean, on a much smaller level, but at Memorial Park.
Right.
You know, the dredging is just so important, and you're right, Sloper Pond is one of our community gems. And it's at the heart of the Southington Education Foundation initiative that goes on out there, and that our school kids get to go there and research and look at the different waterfowl and resources and that sort of thing. And I support this. And how much will you be applying for?
The
Do you know
grant is
yet?
up to $150,000, and we're going to go for $150,000.
Good, I wish it was more.
Yeah.
You need to triple that.
Mr. Ricchio?
Thank you for your words.
Mark, when you dredge that, can you dredge that to lake status, or where does the pond become a lake, and is that happening, or?
I don't know that I could speak too intelligently on the difference between a pond and a lake. I think much of it has to do with size and square footage, but through the permitting process, we're confined to the limits within the pond. And we have local permits, we have state permits, we have Army Corps of Engineer permits. So the permits say that we can take up to 125,000 yards of silt and sediment out of there, and that was what was costing $6 to $11 million in that RFP. The new phasing has that down to about 90,000, which would still improve the pond and put preventative measures in place so that it didn't get any worse.
And what is it? How deep is it now, and how deep will it be?
The pond is roughly 8 to 10 feet at its deepest depths, and we hope to go down, we had hoped originally to go down to 15 plus, but we're now more in the 12-foot range, 10 to 12-foot range. Again, taking about 90,000 yards of silt and sediment out of the pond.
When you say phasing, is that just phase one and you're gonna continue and eventually get to the 6 million to 11 million, or will you stop at that?
Well, phase 1 and 2 are now at 90,000 cubic yards. So our,
1 and 2 each, 90,000 each, so 180,000 total? Or-
no, combined.
Okay.
Yeah, so roughly 45 each. So our hope is that we can do both phase 1 and 2 for 3 million, or roughly that amount that we feel that we can raise within the community. Our backup plan is to do phase 1, and phase 1 really has all the critical elements that this pond needs. It allows us to have a drawdown to install a underwater road, which as we draw the pond down, that road will be exposed, and any silt sediment that comes in from the northeast inlet would hit that berm there. We'd be able to excavate this portion of the pond, then again, preventing any additional damage and additional erosion to going into the pond. So this section here, kind of on the bottom, is phase one. This section right here is phase two. Again, those are both roughly 90,000. The part that we would do in the future is kind of this Bermuda Triangle of the center here. When we did our test borings, we went down 22, 24 feet and never hit hard pan at the bottom. So contractors are very nervous about putting machinery and heavy equipment on that in fear that they may lose the equipment.
Wow.
So we may need to talk about hydraulic dredging
Wow.
in this particular area, which would be floating a barge and kind of sucking it up almost like a vacuum. But that's
That's the extra $3 to $6 million, correct? That Bermuda Triangle?
If we were to do everything, it would be anywhere between that $6 and $11 million
Got it.
proposed figure there.
Well, it is a gem for the whole community, and,
Yeah, I don't want them to
you
stop
know,
at $3
whether we're
million.
talking about Race
Go.
for Chase and so many things that have happened on that pond, and so I'm very happy to stand
Mhm.
with the Y in this grant. I think it'll benefit everyone.
Thank you.
And again, this is on for action tonight, scheduling a public hearing, hopefully to support the Y moving forward. I want to just thank you personally and share with everyone how much not only you've helped, Vicki just mentioned Race for Chase, for example, but you help our students in general. I mean, just last week, we needed the WISE assistance within the school system, and it's how can we help and what can we do and how can we make it happen now, and we appreciate the partnership that you have with the town and the Board of Education, so hopefully we can stand behind you later this evening. So thank you very much. Mr. Lombardi.
I do have a couple other comments, specifically for the town attorney and the town manager, that assuming that we schedule the public hearing later in the meeting, can we just make sure that the council and the public is briefed on page 4 of the application? Says to be completed by the municipal agency overseeing implementation of the program. So I want to make sure that, because the town's not giving this money, we're all supporting the application of the grant.
Like most of these grants, the town is the conduit
Right.
to them.
And I think it's important, we could do it before the public hearing or whatever. And also, on page 5 of the application, it says post-project review. And there's some items there that list the municipalities. So I just want to make sure that we put it on the record to the council and the public that what the town's role is. It's, even though if you were to just look at the headlines of this paperwork, it could seem that it's our project, when in reality, it's the YMCA's project.
Correct.
And thank you again to Mr. Pooler for all that you've done for the town and continue to do for the town, and congratulations in your new position.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
hopefully-
And again, Mark, it's on for action tonight, setting the public hearing, hopefully for June 10th.
We all set?
We're gonna try.
All right, fingers crossed.
Then while we're waiting, let's just state that the Southington Drive-In opens this Saturday,
Jaws.
June 1st. Here we go.
Do we have sound?
The town of Southington has a great opportunity available to it. We are about to enter our 8th year of the lease at the
Wow.
John Weissel Municipal
I
Center.
want to
Oh,
hear
look at
more.
that
Our
shot.
lease that we have with the
Go
village
back,
allows
start
us
it
to
over.
Yeah,
purchase
we
the
gotta start
building
over.
for
Is there music?
$2.9 million at the end of the 8-year lease. So what I'm hoping is that we could look at the property, we could purchase it, working closely with the Board of Finance, the Town Council, and the Board of Education.
It's 100%.
We could purchase the property, take it to referendum this year, 2019, and hopefully get the
something
voters to
that's not
support
connected.
us.
Put the microphone.
Is it up on the
From a financial
computer, too?
standpoint, why it makes so much sense
It's- yeah,
is
it's
that
like
currently we're leasing the property. If we lease the property for the next 10 years, it's gonna cost us.
Start it back up.
Start
it back up, yeah.
$572,000 to lease it.
Okay.
with the building allows us to purchase the building for $2.9 million at the end of the 8-year lease. So what I'm hoping is that we could look at the property, we could purchase it, working closely with the Board of Finance, the Town Council, and the Board of Education. We could purchase the property, take it to referendum this year, 2019, and hopefully get the voters to support us. The reason from a financial standpoint why it makes so much sense is that currently we're leasing the property. If we lease the property for the next 10 years, it's gonna cost us about $3,572,000 to lease it for the next 10 years. If we purchase the property, obviously we spend $2.9 million for it, and we save $402,875. We could purchase it outright using the undesignated fund balance. If we do that, with the permission of the Board of Finance and the Town Council, there would be no interest rates because we wouldn't bond the project. But even if we chose to bond the project, it would cost $3,332,875, which is certainly a savings of $239,625 over leasing it for the next 10 years. Remember, if we lease it for 10 years, at the end of the 10 years, we don't own anything. If we either buy it through the fund balance or buy it through bonding, we own the property after 10 years. I certainly believe, and hopefully the council, the Board of Finance, and the Board of Education, as well as the public, would also agree that this is a perfect opportunity for Sunnyton to buy the building.
There's a couple benefits to having our municipal center. First of which is the synergy between the Board of Education and the general government, especially in the form of our Human Resources Department and Youth Services. The fact that they're in the same building and can work together collaboratively really has been a benefit to the town.
You know, besides the obvious ease of ability for communication, there's definitely a synergy that's developed over time. The ability for me to just walk downstairs and talk to the building official, building inspectors, the zoning officer, the public works staff, engineering, even economic development director, it's been really beneficial for us, you know, for communication.
One of the things that I see as a big advantage are literally just, instead of just the sharing of space, is the communication that takes place. We all serve the residents of this community, and quite a few residents of this community happen to be children, which is the public school's main concern. But we partner with Youth Services, again, literally right down the hallway, and work with the students who benefit from those services. Part of that is STEPS, and all of the services that fall under that umbrella. Part of that is working with students that might need some type of supportive counseling in schools, and in particular the work between the youth counseling services and our people personnel services, special education, which is literally diagonally across the hall.
The public assembly room in our new municipal center allows both the Board of Education and the town to utilize the space for professional development, for ongoing training, but it's also a shared space for public meetings.
Being in the municipal center is very convenient for residents and developers. Having the land use staff all in one location is a convenient format. You usually have to visit multiple departments: engineering, planning and zoning, sewer, and of course economic development, the building department. Having everybody here and having our fast track program, which is very beneficial. It allows developers to come in before they're actually going to do something and get input from town staff. So having the town staff for land use on one floor has been very convenient for residents and developers alike. And the Board of Ed upstairs in the health department is very convenient for demographic information. You know, everyone that lives in town knows about our good quality school systems. However, you know, when you're coming from out of town trying to learn about the community, it's very good location.
We do have folks who come in this building who are residents of the community that do not work for the town side or the Board of Education side. And they'll come in to go to the health department, or they'll come in to go to one of the departments that are downstairs in this building. And they come in and I talk with anyone who comes in. We have student artwork in the hallways. It gives us the opportunity to talk with folks when they come in about the student artwork and just about schools in general. We always help one another. We always help people. You know, can I help you? What are you looking for? And I think people enjoy that, and I think it gives them a sense of everyone working together. Folks work very hard regardless of whether it's in, building, or whether, engineering, highway department, or whether it's at central office under the Board of Education umbrella. People work hard here. And I think it's moving in the right direction. I really do. And I do think being under the same roof is helpful.
Very nice. Great job, everyone.
Again, thanks to Rick Campbell and his staff up at the high school. They came in and got our thoughts on what we were hoping to do, and I think he nailed it. So thank you to all the people who were not only in the video, but the ones who helped us with all the information
Wonderful.
for the video.
And I'm actually hoping, while we have Mr. Riccio and Mrs. Maselli here, maybe this is something through this summer we can show in the preview at the drive-in, just to make sure residents, I know there's a lot of out-of-town people that come as well, but just to...
It's time. It's just limited time.
Right. But I mean, is it starting to
We talk about it.
fade? Sunlight is
You know what
going
it
in.
is? We are already showing our volunteer firefighter recruitment video vehicle in our pre-show. So we hate to sort of add more and more and
We'll
more.
go before them, but it's still lighter out there.
With the chairman.
Right, we'll
I'm
go
with the
before
chairman.
them.
If I may,
It's 2
Mr. Chairman, I'll
minutes
get you
long.
off the hook on this one. We do plan on doing our, as you
Roadshow.
remember, I'll call it our presentations to our organizations that we did when we did the road projects. Remember, we
Right.
did our 2 road bonds. So we'll be going to the organizations. Mr. Connellan will be handling the PTOs.
Good.
This will obviously be shown to the Board of Finance. It'll be shown to the Planning and Zoning Commission when we go forward with them. And Mr. Connellan will obviously show it to the Board of Education. So I believe, if all goes well, we'll have all the boards on board, and certainly we hope to have the taxpayers and the residents on board come November. So
Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves. You might want to do a shorter version and just do a social media campaign.
just my part, the money, the monitoring.
No,
amount?
but
Well, I think they can shorten it for social media, and the money speaks for itself. So I would definitely include that part in there and really do a social media blast.
Well, Mr. Campbell did say if we wanted to, that was our presentation we're going to give for the bond part of it. And then if we wanted to shorten it anyway, he's very capable of doing that, and working closely with his staff, I'm sure he can edit parts out.
Yeah, I just want to say, Mr. Riccio, that's an excellent suggestion. I wonder if we've ever heard about shortening
You
this
said it was,
before.
yeah, but I would have had to take out one of the superintendent's parts, and I didn't want to do that.
Vice Chair Maselli.
Well, I was just going to say that it would also behoove you to show this at our various civic club meetings and whatnot. You didn't mention civic, Unico and Rotary and Elks and
So we did, and not,
United Way and whoever has a conference, a board
yeah, it's
meeting.
very similar to what we did when we did the bond
Good.
for the roads. We went to all those organizations and showed them.
Okay. Any other questions for the manager? All right, so we're moving on to the town attorney's report. Attorney Putner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a segue to both bond ordinances tonight, the acquisition of this property and the road improvement program, Connecticut State Statute Section 8-24, or the 824 referral, requires the town council to refer both those ordinances to our Planning and Zoning Commission for a report back. So those items will be on for action tonight, if anybody has any questions about that. And I just wanted to report, last Wednesday, the Freedom of Information Commission did finalize the Southington Observer finding of fact, so that matter is now concluded in favor of the town.
For both?
Just one, they were separate since they were filed separately, but the initial one should have binding effect on the second one, since it's the same exact set of facts, but different council chat dates.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the town attorney? All right, moving on to public communications. The microphone is open. I would just like to remind all residents before they speak, please limit your comments to 5 minutes and start by stating your name and address for the record. So the microphone is now open. Good Good evening, Mr. Fischello. You want us to close that for you? Do you want us to?
I know, it does
Okay.
not matter to me.
You could just-
All right,
you just
there we
unplug
go.
it in that and take it away from them. He needs his space.
It is, I remember when I was very young, the Second World War. The people were so hungry, they used to go steal on the street. But they were scared. You steal, and you make me scared. I could go the original thing. I had a argument with many, Tony Tranquillo, his assistant, the fellow, he was a commissioner, that the property was a town property. I tried to explain, but all of these things knows the lawyer. And it's really saying, but we have no saying because it's different way to say. A lawyer who's not explain what really what's going on. I think to this lady she did. This is the original part. And you will know so well. But you rather me to go in jail or not to do it.
Lawyer, you want the lawyer to handle it right
I
there?
can handle that, of course I do.
If you,
I do.
Mr. Fischello, we can pass those out for you. That way there you can talk because the microphone helps people at home hear you.
Listen, I'm paying you, you're selling. Little bit, but I pay you.
We don't get paid to do this, Mr. Fischello.
You still the teach your children, you're the teacher. Still talking about. Now, I called Tony Tranquillo many times. And I said, on the property, on the and then it called the lawyer back and forth. Oh, they're making me like a fool. What? I don't want to be fool. I don't want to be stupid. I just want the justice, which is no justice here. Eh? Now, if you think I am a liar,
Thank you.
this is Tony Tranquillo.
Here, I'll pass them down.
And the bottom is a Sokolowski. Okay, you all knew. But you let me die slowly.
It's been like
You
that,
got
right?
it in there.
Well, Billy hasn't called me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, we are under God.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Trying to make a living. It's taking me all the time. I got plenty over there, you know, but I just want you to see how you treat your own citizens, which they work so hard to make a living. And yet, tonight you show so nice. Almost 3 million to buy property. And you, if you see one place and not spend even $100,000 to do the road, that was so essential. And myself, after the town too, because you only take care of yourself. And you take care of yourself so well because nobody, people as me, cannot do anything to you. But when you have somebody can do something, then you open your eyes.
John CC'd on it.
Because let's see. That person right there made a mistake, whoever JP was.
And you want to know who?
Thank you.
The man that he wished to be so dead for many years. I know. The man that he missed me so dead. We
Thank
are
you.
under God, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so, not tired because
Thank you.
That helped me through the life. Very little thing to eat, but I manage. There's no shame in this town that they've run for many years. 15 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fischello. Your time is up. I'm going to call a 2-minute recess. We're in a recess for 2 minutes. Thank you. The meeting is in recess.
For many enlarged, for many people.
Any other resident would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close public communication. I'd just like to again remind the public, we have heard Mr. Fuschillo speak to us for many past councils, chairman after chairman after chairman, year after year. It goes back easily 20 years. We have had him on council agendas. We have had town staff reach out to him personally as well as publicly, and we've really done everything we can. Council members personally have tried reaching out to Mr. Fischello to assist him. So I'm disappointed. We're going to continue to allow the microphone to be open for any of our residents, but one thing I would ask is that we not be disrespected when any resident comes forward to speak to us. So with that, we'll move on to old business and looking for motion for item A. And we're looking to possibly set the public hearing for June 24th at 7 PM.
I'll make the motion to support the bond ordinance for $900,000 as in our packet for road improvements.
And that okay, Mrs. Morrissey, it's June 24th at 7 PM for the public hearing?
June 24th.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that bond ordinance is set for June 24th, 7 PM. We're also looking to set the public hearing for the municipal center bond ordinance for June 24th at 7 PM as well.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we do exactly that.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I would just, I wonder if we can post a video to create some knowledge of this leading up to the public hearing so that we do hopefully hear from the public. Is that possible to put that on the town website?
Absolutely.
Rather than the news feed? Okay. So, any other discussion?
I do have I guess it's an interesting public hearing because we're having a public hearing, as we always do, but the public is going to have another try at it at the voting booths.
Mhm.
So sometimes we have public hearings for normal other items, but this one,
It's going back to the public.
right, so even if they aren't aware of it on June 24th, they certainly will get more education on this matter
Absolutely.
over the next few months.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that passes. Item C, action on the 824 referral of the bond ordinance to planning and zoning.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, and this is for both bond ordinances?
Yes.
Okay.
Them.
I need a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes. Action on the Board of Finance minutes. Again, it was basically setting the mill rate and the restructuring that the manager and I spoke about earlier. Looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the Board of Finance minutes.
Okay, we have thank you. We have a motion to approve from Councilwoman Morrissey. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes. Next, we're looking to schedule a public hearing for the Neighborhood Assistance Grant. This is for the Y, and I'm looking for this June 10th at 7 PM, if someone would make that motion.
Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to set the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and several seconds, okay? Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Action on Tops Market.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we abate the taxes for Tops Market in its entirety.
Excellent.
Second.
Just personal property taxes.
Personal property.
Personal property tax. Thank you, Councilwoman Triano and Councilman Poulos seconded. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Congratulations to Tops Market for that small step to help with your rebuilding efforts.
And Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to table item G, action on the Curtis Open Space Agreement, until this can officially go before the Open Space Committee.
Okay, so we have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that is tabled unanimously. Tax refunds, Mr. Lombardi in Mr. Dietzig's absence.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the tax refunds as presented in our package.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those pass. Appointments, I'm just looking for a motion to table both Parking Authority and Senior Citizen Committee. Thank you. We have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, those are tabled. And last motion of the evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. All right, 8:06.
Good one, guys.
If it wasn't for my technical difficulties, you would've got out.
Yes.